Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. Now, in a recent video, I covered everything we know so far about the much anticipated Build 42. And naturally, this got a lot of you guys talking about what kind of mods you'll want to see when the major update comes along. I asked you all a bit more directly what kind of mods you'd like to see, and that brings us to today's video, in which I'll be composing a bit of a love letter to the fantastic modding community of Project Zomboid, with the aim of encouraging them to pick up some of the biggest things we'd like to see modded in Build 42. If you find the video useful or want to see mods like the ones mentioned in this video, drop it a like to help the channel and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Alright, so with the premise and intro out of the way, let's get right into what was by far the biggest request you guys wanted to see from the modders when Build 42 comes around. Zombies attacking animals. In fact, a lot of things you folks mentioned were about or surrounding the wider use of animals in Project Zomboid, but we'll get to those shortly. Now, we already know that animals will not be chased by zombies in Build 42, at least in the vanilla version of the game, which has been quite a controversial decision amongst the Project Zomboid community, at least going by my comments section. Whereas some players think it's the right way to go, so they aren't constantly worrying about protecting animals they choose to bring into their survival efforts, others believe it doesn't make much sense that the zombies are only driven to spread the virus to humans and would prefer to see that extra challenge brought to the game with animals. Regardless of your standpoint on this particular issue, the developers have endorsed modders bringing zombies attacking animals into the game as a compromise. In fact, the very first time this was mentioned in one of their dev blogs, they gave the green light on this straight away. I suspect they knew that some of the community would prefer things that way and want to encourage modders to mess around with the animal AI for the use of wider modding projects. That brings me nicely onto some of those wider projects for animals that the community would like to see, and next up it's zombified wildlife. The selection of animals coming to Build 42 is surprisingly diverse for a first implementation of animals into Project Zomboid, so it's only natural, I suppose, that players want to see them messed around with and turned into not only a new tool to aid us in surviving longer periods, but also a potential threat. Now, let's assume that we do in fact get a mod that allows zombies to attack animals. What's to say that they couldn't also be adjusted to carry the zombie virus? This would make those animals hostile and, in many cases, perhaps even a bigger threat than regular zombies themselves. A lot of the animals expected to come to the game are naturally a lot faster than the average human, deer for example, so transfer that to a bloodthirsty zombified version of said deer and you've got some nightmare fuel that no woodland survivor is going to want to bump into whilst out on a hunt. But why limit the expansion of wildlife coming to the game to zombified versions of animals though? Sure, we're already getting a range of animals from wild game like deer and rabbits to livestock opportunities like cows, sheep and pigs, but why can't we have more? There are plenty of players out there that I know are thoroughly looking forward to living a farmer's life when Project Zomboid's new update comes along, and with all of the complex AI we're expecting to see, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume that a lot of this behavior can be transferred to similar animals with some new models and animations. There are some incredibly talented modelers in the Project Zomboid modding community, but very few have taken on live, moving models, and I think animals will provide the perfect opportunity for just that. Now, let's take an absolutely non-biased example of ducks, or the far and obviously inferior geese. We already have plenty of behavior and animations that could be taken from the chickens coming to the game in the vanilla version. Mix that with some roaming behavior and flight responses of deer, and you've got, at the very least, the framework for a great addition to the hunting and livestock opportunities already on the way in Build 42. Whilst it would no doubt be harder to implement as it would require the addition of several new behaviors and mechanics, companion animals or pets like dogs and cats are also absolutely a possibility. These animals could be a benefit to the survivor by providing bonuses to things like happiness, reduction to boredom, or simply provide companionship to make single-player playthroughs that little less lonely than it already is. Learning what I've learned about modding, these would take significantly more work and are unlikely to come out anytime soon after Build 42, but it's still a possibility for things that might appear later down the line fine if we end up waiting quite a while for the next update, and I'd say that's relatively likely. Now, last on my list for the mods that would purely be based on animals would be predatory animals. We know that these aren't coming to Build 42, at least it's not been confirmed so far, but we have had hints that the Project Zomboid dev team would likely bring these to the game later down the line. Knowing that updates can take quite a while, it's fair to assume that existing animals' behaviors could be modified and perhaps merged with some zombie behavior to create predatory animals like wolves and bears, providing yet another threat in an already incredibly hostile environment in exchange for the chance at some resources like meat and furs. So, I know there was a huge section on stuff related to animals, but with it being such a major part of Build 42, it's something that will no doubt become a big target for the modding community as well. Moving on from animals for a bit, I wanted to talk about something that I'd personally like to see brought to the game. Now, there is a whole farming overhaul coming along with this update, that much we already know. For those that aren't familiar, this is going to include a massive new range of crops, herbs, pests to protect crops from, and new seasonal growing cycles. We're also expecting to see the farming system streamlined by using less menu options and more tactile interactions like simply pressing a key to dig a furrow or water crops, for example. My request is an expansion to what we'll already have, essentially. You can never have enough crops in a game with farming, and one thing I don't think we've seen just yet is the implementation of growable trees, like, say, apple trees. So that's one possibility. But if you folks also remember, we've had machinery confirmed for Build 42. What's to say modding in some farming machinery and equipment wouldn't be possible? Conveyor belts to help transport crop harvests, vehicles to help water, treat and fertilize crops, or perhaps even farming equipment that could be hauled by animals. The possibilities here, I feel, are endless, and with the type of modding community we have, I just wanted to plant the seed, as it were, nice and early. So yeah, modders, I selfishly want Stardew Valley in Project Zomboid, and I am absolutely putting it on you guys to deliver that for me, no pressure. Now, for a moment there, I was talking about machinery in farming, but the truth is we haven't actually seen all that much when it comes to the machinery aspect of Build 42. Sure, we know machinery is coming and we know it will be component based, so certain parts of certain machinery can be repurposed. We don't know much else aside from that. We've seen some examples of the functions these machines could fulfill in some of the footage shared in previous dev blogs too, which is where my next suggestion for modding is based. Whatever machinery we see as part of the big crafting overhaul with Build 42, it's likely that we won't get everything at once, and it'll be a foundation to be built upon by the devs later. Now, for that reason, modders are going to get the chance to add a lot of machinery before the developers will. I'd absolutely love to see what the modding community can get up to here, from functional and simple things like maybe automated vendors to full-blown feed the beast style Minecraft mod machinery. This could absolutely become a massive framework for modders, and I suspect we'll see a lot of these mods popping up after Build 42 releases. The final talking points that I have for this video are somewhat of a wild card, meaning that I know a lot of you folks at home are after mods that add these features, but I think it's a little less likely that we'll see mods for them, at least within a reasonable time frame and of decent quality. NPCs are planned for Build 43, which is not the next build, but with Build 42 we are getting a whole host of AI programming that modders maybe, just maybe, will be able to use in the process of designing more complex AI. This could be used for more hostile creatures outside of just zombies or wildlife, or even human NPCs. Now, again, I'm not saying this is any kind of guarantee, because something like this would be a monumental undertaking. I definitely think it's more likely that we find ourselves getting things like aliens, monsters, that sort of deal, that work on a combination of zombie and animal AI. But it's worth noting that we've already seen an NPC mod called Superb Survivors in the past, and whilst it isn't perfect, it does show that NPCs are possible. So the question is, will Build 42 bring in enough mechanics for modders to take a real stab at it? So that's just about it from me in this one, folks, but I do want to use this as an opportunity to open the floor to you guys. What kind of mods do you think we could see after Build 42 comes along? And what would you like to see added to the game by the modding community? Let me know in the comment section below this video. I know a few modders watch my videos and I have direct contact with several, so I can absolutely put some ideas their way if we get some good ones. I'd like to say a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters whose funds go towards modding projects for the Zomboid community, as well as gaining access to our whitelisted Patreon server that hosts unique themes and events every single month. Now, if you want to join them, there's a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, folks, and I'll see you all in the next one.